felt like I was sick. I felt like I had some kind of disease. Like I felt like something was wrong because, like I said, I knew nothing about postpartum shedding. No one told me I was going to experience postpartum shedding. So it was literally a surprise. Hey NC fam, welcome back to my channel. So in today's video we're going to be talking about postpartum shedding. 3 things I wish I did not do when it came to my hair while I was going through postpartum shedding. But before we begin that, for those that don't know me, my name is Novella. I am the face, the voice behind Natural Crown UK, and on this channel you'll find kids and natural hair care tips, advice and tutorials to help your little one's hair thrive like I know you want it to. Before we get into the 3 things I wish I did not do while I was going through postpartum shedding. For those that don't know what postpartum shedding is, I'm going to explain that very quickly to you. So postpartum shedding, while you are pregnant, your hair doesn't shed near as much as it does when you are not pregnant. So because of your hormones prevent your hairs, which naturally shed about 50 to 100 strands a day. While you're pregnant, you're not going to shed near as much. So basically the shedding cycle is at the resting stage. Now because of this, you may even notice that while you're pregnant, your hair seems much more thicker or fuller. This is the reason why, because your hair isn't shedding as much as it would, or if any at all, during the pregnancy stage. Now that is short-lived, because 2 or 3 months after you give birth, you're going to start to notice clumps of hair, a lot of hair, shed hair that was supposed to be shedding when you were pregnant that wasn't. Now after you've given birth, 2 or 3 months after, you're going to start experiencing that shedding, and that shedding is going to be way more than 50 to 100 strands a day, because it was at the resting stage while you were pregnant. So it's actually doing double, triple the amount, and that's pretty much the reason why that is, and that's what postpartum shedding is in a nutshell. Now with postpartum shedding, you should start to notice after around 6, maximum 12 months, everything should start to go back to normal, and the way you were shedding prior to being pregnant, you should start now seeing that go back to what you were normally shedding prior to that. If you're still losing excessive amounts of hair 12 months after, I would advise you to go and see your GP or your doctor just to see if there could be any other underlying issues. Okay guys, so I'm now going to give you a little bit of a backstory so you kind of understand my postpartum shedding to date. So back in 2016, when I first experienced postpartum shedding, I'm laughing because it was such a shock to my system. Literally my edges decided to say bye-bye. It literally vamoosed. It went, no warning, no nothing. It just left me just like that. I'm gonna insert a picture here so you can see exactly what I'm talking about, and that was actually my good side. Yeah, so you can see like how bad it was. It was terrible. I literally felt like I was sick. I felt like I had some kind of disease. Like I felt like something was wrong because, like I said, I knew nothing about postpartum shedding. No one told me I was going to experience postpartum shedding. So it was literally a surprise and a shock to my system. I remember thinking to myself, who did I offend? Have the witches in my village, have they like gathered together to to ridicule me? Like, are they the cause of me losing my edges? Like, what is going on? I even thought to myself, like, one night I looked at my husband and thought, did this guy actually shave off my edges or something? Because I don't understand what is going on. Like, this whole situation is not making any sense to me at all. But lo and behold, I did my Googles, I went online, and I found out that it was actually postpartum shedding. Now, I was losing clumps of hair. I'll insert another picture here. I was losing clumps of hair, so you can imagine how scared I was. And I'm sure some of you moms who are going through this, you're most likely scared as well. If this is your first time experiencing postpartum shedding, you're probably confused as well. But I just want to tell you, don't be scared. Don't be confused. No one is doing you. There's no voodoo happening. You'll be okay. Before we get into my second experience of postpartum shedding, if you're pregnant or you just had a baby, I would highly recommend you check out my postpartum shedding guide. In that guide, I share some more tips, and I also give you like a summary of what I'm going to talk about in today's video. But it should really help you out, especially because you have it printed. Well, I would advise you to print it out, read through it so that you're prepared and you know exactly what's about to happen. If you're interested in getting this free guide, just click the link below this video as usual and you can get access to this guide. Okay, so now the second time I experienced postpartum shedding, this was back in 2018 when I had my son. Now this time I was prepared, like no one was coming to get my edges this time around. I was prepared. I really prayed hard, like I prayed hard to God. Honestly, I really prayed hard because what happened the first time around, I was not going to allow that to happen to me this time. But luckily, because I had experienced it the first time and because of all the mistakes I had made, I had learned from that. I'm going to tell you about the mistakes I've made in a second. But because of all of that, I had learned from my mistakes. So this time, the second time around, it was way better. My postpartum shedding, way better. If you take a look at this picture here, you will notice that my edges, yes, I still did lose some edges, but it was nowhere near as bad as the first time. Like I said, I learned from my lesson, and the things that I did the first time, I did not do it the second time. So my postpartum shedding experience was way better. Comment below if you've ever experienced postpartum shedding. Leave the comments below. Let me know what your experience was. Were you scared like I was? Were your village people also doing you too? Let me know in the comments what your experience was. Now, February 2021 was the third time I experienced postpartum shedding when I had my baby girl. Now this time around it was even better. I came correct. Like I was not gonna allow postpartum shedding to get me this third time. Like no, postpartum shedding was not going to win. So like I said, in the second time that I experienced postpartum shedding, I knew better. But this third time I experienced postpartum shedding, I knew even more. I knew my hair even more. I knew what my hair didn't like, what my hair did like. I knew all of the mistakes I made the first time, and also the second time I made a few mistakes. So the third time, literally, it was game over for postpartum shedding. I did lose some edges, which I'll show you here in the picture. However, it was nowhere near as bad as the first time, and it wasn't like the second time either. This third time was a special one because, like I said, I knew exactly what I was doing, and it showed again. So now let's go into the 3 things I wish I didn't do while I was going through postpartum shedding. Now this is mainly the first time I experienced postpartum shedding. These are mainly the mistakes I made then. So let's get into it. So the first mistake I made was back-to-back protective styles. Now protective styles back-to-back in general isn't a good idea, let alone while you are going through postpartum shedding. That's exactly what I did. So with my firstborn, I actually had a C-section. So before I went into labor, of course, I'd put my hair into a protective style. Of course, I had my C-section. So, and it was my firstborn. So do you know what? I wasn't in the mood for my hair. I just wanted to put my hair away and just not have to deal with it, to be honest. And how can you blame me? I had a C-section first time. I didn't know what to expect. So my hair, as I said, was the last thing I was thinking about. Now I put my hair away. Now instead of me to take my hair out and you know give it the TLC it needs, I left it in for about 2 months after I gave birth. And then when I took my hair out of the protective style, I put it back into another protective style that caused a lot of tension, especially around my edges, and that was a big no-no. And I left that in for a good 2 months again, actually about a month and a half to 2 months. And of course when I took out that style again, postpartum shedding was laughing in my face. Postpartum shedding was like, girl, I'm about to get you. I'm about to get you. So yeah, don't do back-to-back protective styles. And in these back-to-back protective styles, I wasn't even taking care of my hair. It's not like I was moisturizing it. I wasn't washing my hair or, you know, trying to cleanse my scalp. I wasn't doing anything. I literally just left it in a protective style, forgot about it, and obviously just dealt with my baby and just tried to heal. So the second mistake I made while going through postpartum shedding was not washing my hair on my usual schedule. So at that time I was washing my hair about every 2 weeks, and of course, like I said, I had a C-section. I just couldn't be bothered with my hair, to be honest, so I wasn't washing my hair often. Also, the major reason why I wasn't washing my hair, if I'm going to be totally honest with you, the clumps of hair, the shedding, everything literally scared me. So I just wanted to avoid wash day as much as possible. Obviously I still washed my hair, but I tried to push it back as much as possible because I was scared. I just didn't want to see all of that shedding. I stayed away from washing my hair for as long as I could. But then each time I washed my hair, eventually, again, postpartum shedding literally laughed back at me, because I had tangles, I had matting, and I had even more shedding. Of course, if your hair is shedding 50 to 100 strands a day and you're going through postpartum shedding and you're probably shedding 200, 300 strands a day, can you imagine if you're pushing wash day back and back and back, how much shedding you're going to experience on that wash day when you finally wash your hair? It's gonna be mad. And that's exactly what happened to me. So whenever I washed my hair, eventually I was dealing with tangles, matting, extra shed hair, and it was just way too much for me. Literally, I'd be overwhelmed by all of the breakage, the shedding. So I would definitely advise you, when you are going through postpartum shedding, if you can and if you have support, try and wash your hair on schedule. So if you're washing your hair weekly or every 2 weeks, try and stick to that so that you're not dealing with excessive amounts of, tangles and shed hair, because the shed hair has been piling up, and that's also going to lead to breakage because you're probably going to be frustrated with all the tangles. Of course, if you have so much shed hair, the shed hairs have nowhere to go, so they're intertwining with the other hairs in your hair, which is going to cause a lot of tangles and matting. So that would be my advice, is to wash your hair according to your normal schedules if you can, and if you have support where you're able to do that. Don't forget, mamas, to download my free postpartum hair loss guide. This guide is basically going to give you a summary of what I've spoken about today in this video, and it's also going to give you some additional tips to help you while you're going through your postpartum shedding. So click the link below this video so you can get access to your free guide. So my next point is, don't stress. I know it's easier said than done, especially when you're seeing like clumps of hair, you're seeing that your edges have vamoosed. I mean, why would you stress? I know I stress, but stressing doesn't help with anything. In fact, if you stress, it's probably going to make the shedding even more. So my advice would be to not stress, to keep calm, and just know that this too shall pass, and that is normal. A lot of moms go through it. Not every single mom goes through postpartum shedding, but a lot of us do go through postpartum shedding. So know that it's normal, and just make sure you're doing all the right things while you're going through postpartum shedding, so your shedding isn't excessive and you don't experience excessive breakage. So those are the 3 things I really wish I did not do while going through postpartum shedding. So that's it, guys. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and share with anyone you feel may benefit from watching. Take care.